Mhm. Yeah. Hey, Jesse, what's up, man? I guess we're live.
Okay.
You know what that means, right?
Hi, Dean. How you doing? It's good to see you again, Dean. Hi, guys. Sit down.
Hey, you know, right there, Jesse. He goes, look at this, look at this. Let's play that again.
Oh, hi, Dean. How you doing? It's good to see you again, Dean. Hi, guys. Sit down.
So, did you notice how he just says, "Hi, guys"? He didn't say, "Hi, guys." You know, I'm gay, right? Like, I didn't start off the show says, "Hi, this is Gigi for GB. I'm straight. I like women." And ever since I was a young man, I knew I always was a one woman kind of guy. Some of the guys in elementary school, OC Johnson, I went to, they had like a girlfriend in the third grade and a girlfriend in the fourth. You know, but I always knew I was a one woman kind of guy, and I like girls. But I mean, I don't start off the show like that. I don't have to let people know. And look at these guys. They're having fun, and it's a skit. No one's getting offended, and no one is saying, what they do. I just found that very interesting, today. But that's not the subject. The subject today, Jesse, is what is the subject today? I don't know if I saved it as a PDF. Let's see if I saved it as a PDF. Because this won't let me. It's on Jehovah. Oh no! Is this on the screenshot? It said, "Is what did the screenshot say, Jesse, about the chemtrails?"
It says, "Where was Jehovah?
Yeah.
Why did a sinner clean our skies?"
Now, who is this sinner that we're talking? Now,
I don't know.
well, oops. Here we go, man. Bad show prep today. Here he goes. My computer. Here it is. Desktop. Come on, babies. There it is. Uploading. Hey guys. Hey Daisy Doo. There it is. Where was Jehovah with the lowercase j? And why did a sinner clean our skies? So that's what it used to look like in Phoenix, Arizona, in Yuma by the MCAS, the military air station, right? And then all of a sudden, in the past 3 weeks in Phoenix, Arizona, and also there in Yuma, something happened. Share screen. Let's go to all photos. Something happened. Check this out. This was last week in Phoenix, Arizona. Remember about a few months ago, I was talking to you about the Drums of the Island, the Elvis video when he ends in the
Yeah,
Hawaiian.
in uh in Elvis Presley's
Mhm,
Hawaiian movie. What was the name of that movie?
I forget that one. But
Yeah.
that's what the clouds look like in that movie.
And everywhere.
Hmm.
In any movie you look from the 40s and 50s, that's the way it looks like. When we were kids and we were at my mom's house in the late 60s, early 70s, and we would sit outside in the grass and look up at the sky. And you put grass in your mouth. You weren't smoking it, that was the neighbors. We would just chew on the grass and stuff. And we would try to see puffy dragons and bunny rabbits
Hmm.
and cotton balls and all kinds of nice little clouds. But for the last 10, 20 years, all the clouds were straight lines. Ever since Prince talked about it. Remember Prince talked about it?
Yeah. So Prince talked about it, and then that's all we saw was that.
Mm-hmm. For the last 10 to 15 years, that's all we've seen.
Hmm.
All we've seen. But since Donald J. Trump has become president, we get clear skies. So our question is, are there no planes left? Maybe there's no more planes.
Well, let me see here. So let's go back to this screen here. Let's close it out. So I'm over here. You can see this is the the southwest Phoenix, looking southwest, and this is where all the airplanes line up to go into Sky Harbor. Negative sundown. Now a little bit about an hour later, there was this one plane that was very high up, and it was leaving a condensation trail. But you notice how it dissipates, and then There was another one. This must have a lot of memory because it's taking forever to load. But yeah, there it is. There's another one. There was like three of them in a row. And then this is a Southwest airline. That's a Southwest getting ready to land. So the ones that you saw with the vapor, they were really high up in the sky. You couldn't tell what color, but from the ground you could tell that was a Southwest, and that's the moon. And look at that. He's not leaving anything behind. No trail. I don't know where
You know,
that is. No.
there's a saying, and it says, "Dead men tell no tales." Dead men tell no tales. It doesn't matter if all our communist Democrat friends lie
Mhm,
to us and call us
mhm,
conspiracy. It doesn't matter. When you're dead, you're dead.
mhm.
You can't trust these SOBs for nothing. Nothing. They think that a man could be a woman and a woman could be a man. I'm telling you, you can't even trust them on vapor trails, on puffy bunny rabbit clouds. These people can't be trusted for nothing. You're telling me since Donald Trump has been president that the planes don't leave vapor trails no more?
Yeah.
Because this is a phenomenon that's only been around for 2, 3 months.
Mhm. So,
Since
so this is my whole thing. Your religious organization, Watchtower, you have an Awake magazine. So you think that Watchtower could have done what? In the Awake magazine, they could have published all the kinds of questions about why is it that the condensation dissipates, but these don't? Why are the clouds uh, straight lines and not puffy? You know, they could have had 32 pages in their magazine. And so that's what I'm trying to say is that where were all of the religions? Where were all of the religions, not just the Jehovah's Witnesses, but where were all of the religions asking this question?
and you know what I want to say too is where are all the kids at? Where are all the kids at?
Hmm.
Where are all the moms at? Because I remember when we were kids growing up,
Hmm.
and we would go, "Mommy, why are all the clouds so pretty and look like bunnies?" And my mom would say, "Oh, because today's my mom's birthday, and today's our mom's birthday, April 11th, and it's also the day she died, April 11th. Um, so happy birthday to my mom.
That's today. Hmm.
Hey, should we dedicate this to our mom?" Because
No.
when we were babies, we would always ask my mom, "Mom, why is this? Why are all the clouds so pretty? Mom, we're in Mexico and the clouds are so pretty. Are they pretty in Yuma too?" Yeah, and then we're in Yuma. "Mom, you know where where grandma lives? Are clouds real pretty?" So are the kids of 2025, how come they're not asking right now? "Mommy, where did all the stray clouds go?"
Correct. And
Nobody asked
yeah.
questions. Yeah.
And
And
so
did Jehovah clean them up? Remember
no.
you said that one time your nephew, he was up in the airplane
Hmm.
and he says, "We're going to go meet Jehovah."
Hmm.
What did he say?
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so nobody's asking, did
Hmm.
Jehovah clean up these skies? Somebody evidently did, because now that from LA to New York, in every corner of our country, the skies have been cleaned up. Who cleaned it up? Your
Correct.
question is deeper. Why didn't Jehovah get involved in the cleanup? Mhm.
Yeah. So let's I want to go on that one. Share screen. I'm trying to get used to the new screen here. Uh, in Matthew 25, it says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And one he gave 5 talents, to the other two, and to the watchtower he gave one." So Jehovah gave Watchtower 1 talent, and everybody else produced something with the talents that they gave him. Then the one who had received the 1 talent came and says, "Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. I was afraid and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours." He goes, "You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown and gathered where I have not scattered seed. You ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back with my own interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. Give it to the people who do something. So here, Watchtower had an opportunity, in my opinion. Watchtower had an opportunity to use that magazine, The Awake, and sound the alarm. But why is it that the sinners, real bad sinners like Alex Jones, why was he the one talking about this? Where was Watchtower? Saying that Jesus is going to fix this. Jesus, well, apparently, and this is where you and I disagree. I say Jesus didn't fix this. A sinner fixed it. And you say, well, I beg to differ.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
With one
That
caveat.
no, it's just that
Mhm.
first of all, nothing our Democrat brothers and sisters said will change the fact that those son of a bitches lied to us.
Mhm. Mhm.
Somebody cleaned up the sky. We're just wanting to get to the bottom of who cleaned it up. Whether it's chemtrails or vapor trails, it doesn't matter to us. That's irrelevant. What we're saying is somebody cleaned up the skies. It wasn't Jehovah.
It wasn't Jesus.
It was somebody here on earth said, hey guys, quit making the straight lines. We're going back to puffy clouds. Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah.
It might have even been Bobby Kennedy, or it might be the EPA director. It's somebody. Somebody says, hey, quit dropping that shit all over the United States. Now, there's somebody in your comments section that keeps saying that in Michigan, they still have chemtrails. But I
Mhm.
don't think Michigan counts.
Mm-mm.
Isn't Michigan part of Istanbul?
Yeah, something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah. So that was it.
Michigan quit on the United States a long time ago.
So,
Detroit, come on, man. The last thing that came good out of Detroit was probably like the 1998 Camaro.
no, the Motown, yeah.
No,
But
no,
here's
the last thing.
but here's the point. So I want to know,
Mhm.
where were all of the religions? And but here's the thing, at least the other religions would not blacklist you if you wanted to fight to clean the skies. The Catholic Church would not hold you back. You're a Jehovah's Witness and you go on a campaign to clean the skies, they're going to have a talk with you, and they're going to get rid of you from the congregation.
I think
That's
that's what happened to Prince when he talked about the chemtrails. They got rid of him.
They got rid of him too.
See, so we're not talking about getting rid of the chemtrails.
Mhm.
We're just saying who did it. Somebody cleaned the skies because now the skies are real clean. Now, here's the thing. Our Democrat brothers and sisters were always telling us, hey, you guys are conspiracy theorists. And you could go in the Google, type it in all day long. Anybody who says that those straight lines are chemtrails, they call us stupid. They
Mhm.
call us conspiracy. They call us whack jobs. Every name in the book they call us. But my mom and dad told me sticks and stones may break our bones, but names will never hurt us. So call us all the names you want. But in 2025, April 11th, the skies are blue and there's no vapor trails. Did the plane stop flying? How come there's no vapor trails? You mean there's no Southwest Airlines? There's no United Airlines? There's no American? There's no planes flying in the sky?
Mhm. So this is the point I want to bring out. I was telling my friend, actually, I was telling my girlfriend that I'm going to keep pounding this into her head, that fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. When you fill your heart with hate, you can't see that the clouds went from that straight lines to puffy clouds. You can't see that because you hate so much that you're blind to it. And so that'll take me to the next subject I wanted to talk about, because this subject is getting very old.
Hold on, wait. I wanna touch what you just said before you go.
Okay.
Talk about hate and clouds.
Hmm.
They'll hate you so much for mentioning, hey, do you notice that there's no more straight lines now?
Hmm.
And a Democrat can kill you. Did you see the other day there was this woman in New York City who was interviewing people about abortion?
Hmm.
And this one black woman just cold cocked her in the face?
Hmm. Yeah.
So if you talk to certain people about chemtrails and straight lines and clouds, they'll cold cock you.
Correct. And let's watch. And even when it, like for in this case, it's benefits you because cancer, because whatever those chemicals are, uh, they're not falling on your vegetable garden. They're not falling on
And
you
check
at
it out. Could those chemicals be killing the bees, and that's why the tomatoes don't grow on your vine no more?
Correct. Or yeah, it could be 5G. But check this out. So let's go with that same hatred. And now we're going to go to this. This is really interesting. We're going to watch it. It's only like a little bit over a minute. RFK Jr. says that he's working with Doge to tackle Medicare fraud. We're in a very good position now to identify that and to eliminate it. But here's the point before we see this. So here we have two people, RFK Jr. and Elon Musk, and it's double the hate. A lot of, for example, our Jehovah's Witness brothers, they're on Medicaid, they're on Social Security, they're on the take. You know that, and I know that. And maybe they complain, says, you know what? I wish I could get just a little bit more money on Medicaid, a little bit more Social Security. But guess what? You can't, because there's a lot of fraud. But they hate these two so much that they would rather the fraud to continue, and keep complaining. So let's look
Secretary
at this.
Kennedy will join us live in a moment as House Democrats accuse Republicans of trying to cut Medicaid benefits. GOP leaders say that is not true. That's a lie.
It's going to be very difficult for them because once the committee process starts, they can no longer pretend as if they're not intending to cut Medicaid.
No one has talked about cutting one benefit in Medicaid. The Democrats are trying to, frankly, lie to the American people. $51 billion a year in Medicaid is lost to fraud. That's unconscionable.
HHS Secretary RFK Jr. joins me now. Secretary, thank you very much for being with us. It's good to have you back on the program today.
Happy to be with you, Martha.
So tell me, let's start there, and I want to get to a few other topics with you as well. But you oversee the Medicaid program. Do you think they're looking for $880 billion in savings over 10 years? The fraud number is somewhere between $30 and $50 billion a year. Do you think that they can cut that money out of Medicaid? And is it something you support, those cuts?
Well, I certainly support any cut of waste or misuse or fraud. And we're in a very good position now to identify that and to eliminate it because we have Doge working with us, and they've been really extraordinary about finding fraud in all of the agencies. And they're being very helpful with us. So we think we're going to be able to identify it and eliminate it.
While
incidentally protecting the Medicaid, or protecting the Medicaid program and improving services to our poorest Americans.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say about that, Jesse?
There's this guy, Hakeem Jeffries. He's a Democrat leader. Mm-hmm. You can't accuse him of being intelligent. These people are, it's like John Kennedy said, my white Anglo brother, Senator John Kennedy, he said, he goes, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's the leader of the Democrat Party. And she's the reason why they put instructions on shampoo bottles. These people are not very bright. They're ripping off the country. Now, this gentleman who was speaking, his uncle said, ask not what your country could do for you, ask what you can do for your country. It would be good if Hakeem Jeffries shuts his pie hole or helps Doge find the people who are ripping off Medicaid, because Medicaid and Medicare are sacred funds. They come out of our sweat. Just about 10, 15 minutes before we started the show, I just got off work, and one of my guys got injured today. It blew out his leg, his sciatica. I don't know. And it's 102. People are panicking. We're out there working and busting our butts. And out of our check goes to Medicare and Medicaid. Like Robert F. Kennedy said, to help the poorest of the Americans or people who put into that system. It comes out of working people's checks and our government and our taxation. And we pass it on to help people. For son of a bitch to be stealing that money? These are sacred funds. Did John F. Kennedy die in vain? Did he speak in vain when he said, ask not what your country could do for you? So we would invite the Democrats, shut your pie hole and help us find some of the fraud.
And that's the point I want to bring out because the hate factor. They gave us our tax money for years. Now they got exposed and blame it on Trump and Elon. So Daisy is right. So you not only got caught, dereliction of duty as a member of Congress, right? Exposing this fraud, which is your job. And now you want to blame it on the people that have found the fraud? And what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to say that if you're a Jehovah's Witness or you're a Democrat, ex-Jehovah's Witness Democrat, you got to look in the mirror and says, why is it that we can't see something so basic? Why can't the Democrats or the Jehovah's Witnesses see how their hate is keeping them from seeing common sense problems and solutions? And here's the answer. Because our Democrat brothers and sisters are protesting and making fool of themselves on the street.
These Democrat street soldiers seem more interested in showboating than protesting. These ladies spent hours on their costumes just to record a little video and call the president a Nazi. But it's better than whatever this is. Bad doggy. It wouldn't be a protest, though, without a little singing.
Let it go. Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go. Let it go. Turn away and slam the door.
After all the pageantry, the libs got back to business.
How do you feel about Donald Trump?
I think that he deserves to die.
He should what?
Die.
Careful, buddy. Trump assassins are 0 for 2, and one of them's dead.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is what hatred leads to, Jesse. They are the product of their own hatred.
But here's the thing: it's a slippery slope in this aspect.
Mm-hmm.
These people are not intelligent people.
Mm-hmm.
And who was it? Was it Mark Twain that said, "Never argue with a stupid person, because he will get a stick and beat you with a stupid stick"? Never. I think Mark Twain talked about that. And so it's hard to even talk to a Democrat anymore. Like, for instance, there's this real famous Democrat. His name is Bill Maher.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to be friends with Donald Trump. And he's trying to talk down some of the stupidity on the left in the United States. But we are seeing the left because of Bill Maher.
Mm-hmm.
The left is the product of the Bill Maher tree.
Mm-hmm.
It is the fruit of Bill Maher. And that's what, of Bruce Springsteen and all these Robert De Niro, all of these stupid idiots. They can't see the crimes that are going on in the theft, in the border, in Medicare, in Social Security, and that somebody just wants to stop the theft.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to accuse the people who want to stop the theft as being the thieves.
So this is the conundrum that we have. We have brothers and sisters in our religion, in our family, our friends. And Mark Twain says, never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. And just a couple of days ago, Elon Musk, was it yesterday or the day before, has proven and shown people, look, we're giving, was it unemployment benefits or some other stuff, to people that have not been born yet. Their birthday's in the future. So it gives, a lot of people are saying, well, what it proves is that there are time travelers. The government knows about time travel. But so when you're talking to a Democrat, family member, religion, our friends in the ex-Jehovah's Witness, and they get mad at us because we say never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. That you're going to blame Elon Musk because he got on the computer and asked it a question with artificial intelligence. Give me the list of the break down the birthdays of these people, all of the people that are receiving the checks. And then we come to find out that a lot of people that were receiving Social Security were older than the Constitution or haven't been born yet with the new findings. And then you have the gall to get mad at us for just saying what's happening here. You get mad at people like us because we say, like in the beginning, our picture, like, hey, look, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of airplanes in Phoenix, but no chemtrail. What happened? So there's the quote that you said, Jesse, Mark Twain.
Yeah, we're dealing with a stupidity in a great. We're dealing with a very stupid people.
You call it when we talk privately, you call it atomic stupidity.
Yeah, nuclear, quantum.
Yeah, quantum. Oh, I think I have that. Yeah.
It's a quantum stupidity in the fourth dimension. A lot of people question what the fourth dimension is. If it's time, space. I think maybe it's the Democrat and Jehovah's Witnesses. They could be the fourth dimension because it's a different type of intelligence or a negative intelligence. And they don't want to hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. They shut their mouth, their ears. They don't want to know anything. We saw that with COVID-19. They took everything that the World Health Organization threw at them. They just took it. They bent over. Yes, ma'am, may I have another? Gladly take it. So these are not, they're almost, and we call them like the dodo birds. They're that stupid. They're like the dodo birds. And they actually think that, and I keep saying this, why would you take Bernie Sanders, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you even enter into a debate with that man who's never built anything and he's lived in his mom and dad's basement? Why would he even have a seat in the debate? He's never built a business. He's never run a factory. He's never helped anybody. He's never made Medicare better. He's never made Medicaid. And he's going to fix Medicaid?
Mm-hmm.
Now you have people who actually want to stop the theft in Medicaid. And they're the bad guys. What we're saying is, hey, guys, think about it. We come from a Jehovah's Witness background. We believe Jesus when he says, eat, to partake.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Jehovah's Witness says, no, 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 no. We don't. Now, in the religious sense, like in the political sense, that is what I call quantum stupidity. Quantum stupidity. How come no Jehovah's Witness could stand up and say, hey, guys, wouldn't it be better if we listen to Jesus instead of the Watchtower? And the same thing in politics. Wouldn't it be better if we listen to the guys who are trying to stop theft?
So do you want to see quantum stupidity? Stupidity on a level that even stupid people know it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're real, real stupid, like you just described. And we're using very powerful words because stupid is a very powerful word. But we have stupid and it meets a contender, atomic stupidity.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that men of all racial demographics are turning away from the Democratic Party. But of course,
they built that Frankenstein monster. They built it. The he, they, them.
Mm-hmm.
They built that monster. Now they got to dance with it.
But look at it was so stupid. It was so stupid, Jesse, that you stopped listening to the question. Let's go back and listen to try to listen to what she has to say.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
they, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Attorney, they, them pronouns. Corrects Anderson Cooper. She's not a she. She's a they, them.
Oh.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that men of all racial demographics are turning away from the Democratic Party. But of course.
So Bernie Sanders is like, what the F is this girl talking about? And then she says they, them, and has the gall to ask that men of all groups, black, Mexican, white men, old men, young men, all men are leaving the Democratic Party and men are going their own way.
And she doesn't have the decency to go by a mirror and look at herself. Could she be the cause of it? This is what I'm telling you. They're so stupid. She is so stupid in a quantum level that we've never seen it before.
She's an attorney. God help us.
She's not an attorney. She can't be an attorney.
Well, a lot of people think that attorneys just go to court and do it. There's a lot of attorneys that just work in the high rises and they push paper. They never see.
And it's real dangerous because they live in an illusion. Because given the right, and what we're seeing is these people in heavy machinery, operating heavy equipment, operating planes, trains, automobiles, nuclear power plants. They can't even tell a gender, and you're going to put them in a position
Okay,
serious
you get
danger.
arrested. I'm not speaking from experience, okay, but you get arrested, and they say you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney, and if you can't afford attorney, the state in which you reside will give you her.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They them pronouns, actually.
Civil rights attorney.
She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Good evening, Senator Sanders. Polling and turnout data indicate that men of all racial demographics are turning away from the Democratic Party. But of course,
she's going to be your attorney, Jesse.
And look at Bernie Sanders' face.
Did you see that?
Away from the Democratic Party. Racial demographics data indicate that men of
all ages, all demographics.
They're all white old guys, white liberals. Jimmy Carter, him, Bill Clinton, James Carville, Tim Walz. They all look alike.
They can't see it.
They're all dinosaurs, retarded.
Mm-hmm. And this is why men are leaving. You know, there's a saying, men go their own way. They don't want to date women because of stuff like, I mean, would you want to date her? I mean, seriously.
Not only that, would you want that commie being in the same trench with that commie?
Oh, yeah. You know what? My girlfriend, she's a Republican, and she's like, if you're a Democrat, she's like, she won't even say hi to you. You know, like she will not even entertain.
We're at that point because how do you entertain her denial of nature?
Mm-hmm.
You have to, and this is what I say, it's dangerous because there are rules that are fast. There's laws of physics, laws of nature.
Mm-hmm.
This woman wants us to suspend the laws of nature, and she wants to go by a gender of they, them. It's very dangerous, and it's almost a crime against humanity to play along with it because she's stupid and she needs somebody who loves her. You always talk about love.
Yes,
I love you.
I love you.
Bernie Sanders and Anderson Cooper do not like this woman. If they were to stand up and put some modesty in her and say, listen, woman, you're a woman. Don't give me that they, them. Get the fuck out of here. She's not qualified to even ask a question in this forum.
And Jesse, listen, I'm not saying
mentally sick.
But Jesse, I'm not saying that there's not a need for, say, a civil rights attorney in the 330 million people that live in this country. Okay, we need a civil rights attorney, maybe. And this is what you're going to give them? She's going to represent you?
She's mentally sick, unstable. If she can't tell a gender, how is she going to tell her what the Constitution is? How is she going to know about the laws of economics? How is she going to know about the laws of supply and demand when she doesn't even know what a penis and a vagina are?
So please, Jesse, get this quote from Artsy and combine the two, because we are the Jehovah's Witness channel and we talk about politics. So Artsy says, today I tried to tell my mom, quoting scripture where Jesus said to partake, and she was like, you can't understand the Bible, and said, Satan is tricking you with the Bible. This thing that you're seeing with Bernie Sanders and this they, them girl and this comment, how can we combine it?
Gilbert, it's a stupidity on the quantum level.
Mm-hmm.
It would be better if that mom was never born, I think.
No, because then
Gilbert, but how do they're using up oxygen that good people, smart, intelligent life forms can use.
Forgive me for my brother going in that direction. But Jesse, no, don't go there, man. I'm getting in trouble. Yeah, my girlfriend, she said she was going to be watching today, so, you know.
Gilbert, but listen to her quote. Let's break down her quote.
No, I know, but
I mean, describe it. It's a stupidity. You got to call a spade a spade.
Oh yeah. It's on a nuclear level that here Artsy is saying, Mom, I'm reading verbatim from your Bible, verbatim, and she says, no, Satan is trying to trick you.
Yeah, she's using a projection.
So do you remember? Do you remember in the first, second, third grade, one of the things that we had to learn and we got graded on was reading comprehension.
Reading comprehension.
Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it would be in our report card.
Yeah, it was our report card. That was one of the lines. Like after we learned how to read, reading comprehension was You have to pass that to get to the next grade. So, in order for Jehovah's Witnesses to leave the religion and get to the next level, you have to get an A in reading comprehension, where Jesus says, eat. And they say, no, 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 that's Satan's trickery. I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, we've talked about this, and we really believe that Jehovah's Witness, and the Bible talks about it. We talked about it ad nauseum about the 7 spirits, evil spirits.
Mm-hmm.
They've quit on Jesus Christ a long time ago, the Jehovah's Witnesses. So they've quit on Jesus Christ, and the Spirit of God is not with them.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, every stupid spirit can attack the Jehovah's Witness. They're open up to 7 deadly spirits, 7 stupid spirits, 7 who are worse. These people have no intelligence left. They've surrendered, and they'll even tell you that they get their food from Jehovah, which is really the watchtower. When you leave Jesus Christ, and you call yourself a Christian, you're open up to every form of deviancy and stupidity. And the same thing happens with the United States in the politics. When you're an American citizen and you leave the Constitution, you're open up to every form of trickery and falsehood.
Okay, so this is what happens. When an unclean spirit goes out of a man, he goes through dry places, seeks rest, and finds none. Then he says, I will return to my house from which I came. And when he comes, he finds it empty, swept, and put in order. Then he goes out and takes with him 7 other spirits, more wicked than himself. And they enter and they dwell there. And the last state of the man is worse than the first. So shall it also be with this wicked generation. So you start with your lesbian and gay, LG. And that's the spirit, right? Right. You got the L and the G spirit. And now they're not happy with those two. They're not happy just being lesbian or gay, male. Like you said, you're the one that says they went and got LGBTQ, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, X, Y, Z. They bring even more in, to the point where one of the spirits that comes back is the dumb spirit that the Bible talks about. Because the dumb spirit is the one where it says, are you a man or a female? I don't know. And yet you're being interviewed for the Supreme Court Justice of the United States. What is a female? She don't know. That's the dumb spirit. These people have been possessed by dumb spirits like Jesus talked about here. Why? Because Jesse, like Jesse says, Jackson, the Supreme Court Justice, she hates the Constitution. She hates the founding fathers. She hates all of the great Black men that lived in America that made this country great. And guess what? She hates them so much that that home now becomes abandoned. And all of those spirits come in and dwell in her, to the point where she doesn't even know how to define a woman. And yet she wants to be a Supreme Court Justice. And she is. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you described a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a void. It's natural, the law of physics, the laws of nature.
Mm-hmm.
They've abandoned the rock, the foundation, Jesus Christ. So they're open to every form of unclean thing.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing in politics that you described. When you surrender to your civics, when you surrender the Constitution, the Federalist Papers, everything that is decent to an American, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, of course you're going to hate the country. Of course. It's a vacuum. We're seeing that in the Jehovah's Witnesses too, right here with this case. Like Artsy explained. Mm-hmm. The mom calling her that she's going to be a tool of Satan.
No.
The Bible.
Jesse, no. This is even better. Ready?
Respect. For I am Costanza, Lord of the Idiots. You're all winners! But suddenly a new contender has emerged.
And Jesse's talking. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Jesse's talking, and Chad, I had to hit, you can't see it. I have to hit remove it. My sister attended the 1958 Yankees convention, and she's still waiting on Jehovah. Oh, okay. So let's do this again. My sister attended the 1958 Yankees convention, and she's still waiting on Jehovah.
Respect. For I am Costanza, Lord of the Idiots. But suddenly a new contender has emerged.
Ding, 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 ding. Chad won. Dude, Jesse, no one ever questioned Chad. Chad is, oh my God, he's the man. I mean,
hey Gilbert, it's getting to the point. Tomorrow is the day of the memorial.
mhm.
It's getting to the point where, and we talked about it, and I notice a lot of apostates are talking about this, that it's not even worth it going to their memorial. It's not even worth talking to them. I mean, their stupidity could be contagious, or it could be like, you know how you have the virus. What do you say when it comes out of a person's body? What's it called? Of when the shot, it's and the virus was active and you can shedding.
Oh yeah.
If you're surrounded by a Jehovah's Witness, the stupidity could shed.
Okay.
It's real dangerous because look, think about it.
Mm-hmm.
No Jehovah's Witness has the mental acuity to read in their Bible where Jesus specifically gives an order to eat and drink. Specifically. And the first century Christians followed those words. And the Jehovah's Witnesses twist the words of Jesus using all kinds of twisted scriptures. And they don't have the mental acuity to say, no, you know what, the watchtower is wrong. So what I'm saying is they have to be demon possessed. There's no other way to say it. These people are gone. And being around them might be a hindrance to your health, mental, spiritual, physical, financial, everything that is holy to you. Being around a Jehovah's Witness and their memorial is probably a detriment to your health.
So John Marciano, memorial's a waste of time. Jesse, don't go off on a tangent. I'm just going to ask you a question. Don't condemn anybody to hell. Okay, but my girlfriend and I were talking about this very subject today, and she said that she agrees with you. Everything you said is true. Everything she said, she's in agreement. However, one of her friends has to go to the memorial because a loved one, very close, in the family, is probably going to be the last year them is alive. I'm going to refer to the Jehovah's Witnesses as they them. So she just this other girl decided to go. So she asked me, "What do you?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. But you're in a situation where you have a relative or close companion that's dying, and they ask you to go, and you're talking about shedding the atomic nuclear stupidity. What do you do in a situation like that?
Well, I have a remedy for it.
Okay, it'd be nice because I don't want to be okay.
Look, if you're going to go to the memorial, this would be my advice, and you could take it as a grain of sand. But I would use it as work, as an apostate or as an activist or an ex-Jehovah's Witness or a humanitarian. And I would go there to document everything. I would take my paper, pen, I would take my phone, I would videotape, and I would record everything. So you have a document of what went on in this Black Mass. So if you go there disguised as a Jehovah's Witness family member, but really go there as a reporter, an undercover reporter, you could probably protect yourself from the shedding. Because now you have a purpose-driven life. You're there as a reporter. And then you could come on the GG for GB show and you could tell us what you saw and what you...
Man, that was you know what, Jesse? Man, this is why, the GB needs a helper, right? I mean, that was spot on. Now,
so if any witness goes and they have to go,
please
contact GG for GB so you could come back in the show and we can interview you. Kind of like Jimmy Bell and Ruby Quinn. You know how they always have these guest people on? We could get a guest person on, somebody who actually went to a Jehovah's Witness memorial.
Now, I wanna praise Donald Trump because he doesn't let his left hand know what his right hand is doing, and he learned that his parents, he, uh, other godly men have told him, Donald, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, and all of his life there's evidence that nobody knows. Remember that guy that went to school with him? He talked about his dad and what he did because they were because my dad died and he was friends with Donald Trump's father and because they went to the same school and he took care of him. But nobody knew that story until like about 50 years later or 40 years later, 50 years later. Here's another example. Check this out. This is a nice one.
Lord Jesus, please give us the strength, the knowledge, the ability to articulate our words, have fun, and be confident in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay.
So this is your press secretary. So before she goes into social media with her friends, she says, Lord Jesus, and which I thought that was really cute. Now,
hold on. I think that was a choice of words that you would put, but I would not use that word because hold on, it's not cute.
No,
but I think she's doing a job. She's doing a job. She's being a professional, and it's not about ethics. It's about Christian values. Now, our secular brothers and sisters will call it ethics.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we need help as humans, and as Christians, we understand that we need help. We're not going to have confidence in our own, but we're going to have confidence that God will help us.
Correct.
And you know what? It does help the Christian act because it keeps it temperament.
And correct, Jesse, because I'm sorry, it was a wrong word to use, but it was cute, in its own way. But here's the point I'm trying to make. Bukele, the president of El Salvador, says the same thing you said. That hey, because we're a secular nation. You think we're stupid? He was telling Tucker Carlson, we know that we're a secular nation, but we're also believers, and we have a job to do. And this job was greater than they could. They knew the job at hand was greater than what they could accomplish. So they all got
listen.
They all got on their knees, prayed, and they won the war against MS-13. Go ahead.
We're all believers. Yes, that's a beautiful story that you talk about Bukele and how they went after MS-13. But we're all believers. But another thing is that our brothers and sisters who surround us, they have long since quit on Jesus. And they think there's a separation of church and state. They talk about a separation of church and state, but they're the ones who always go and idolize every form of life form on this planet. We as Christians, we know that it's not about ethics. It's about Christian values. And that's what I was saying about the Jehovah's Witnesses. Since they quit on Jesus Christ, look at where they are now. They're floating through the creation in a form of hell, separated from God. The same thing with Americans who have long since quit on the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and the founding of our country. They're floating through our country, not being part of us.
Now, with this girl Caroline, I would remind her, the words of Jesus Christ in Matthew 5, Sermon on the Mount. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. She knows those words, and so yes, this is beautiful. The fact that she is asking for Jesus' help, she knows that her answer has to be a truthful answer. She can't be lying. Kind of like what you were talking about, our friends who think that it's okay to lie, and we have another group of people saying no, it's not okay to lie.
Hey, and I want to
go ahead.
Let me take it in a different tangent. Different tangent on this specific prayer. There's a different culture in Christianity. There's different cultures in Christianity using Jesus's words. Some Christians would find that immodest, that you're praying out loud where everybody can hear and there's cameras rolling because it's something so personal.
I don't think she knew.
I myself would have hidden myself in the corner and said it in private. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying that, Gilbert. I'm just telling you there's different dimensions to Christianity. Some people would find it immodest and some people would find it right. It helps her. It helps her, and I'm okay with it. But I wouldn't have done it that way.
But I don't think without knowing. I don't think she thought there was cameras rolling, and I think somebody just leaked it out. And that's just my personal belief. But I want to show you something, and I want you to pay attention. Let's go back and let's turn it on.
Lord Jesus, please give us the strength, the knowledge, the ability to articulate our words, have fun, and be confident in Jesus' name. Amen.
So she says, Lord Jesus. So leave it to some loser. Leave it to some loser who doesn't compete with Chad. Comment, but leave it to some loser in one of the comment sections said he was trying to correct her because like Jesus never taught us to pray to him, and he's the Son of God, and he always taught us to pray to the Father. Now, I remember having this conversation with our circuit overseer brother-in-law, and I said, "Well, if I go, is Jesus the Prince of Peace? Is he our eternal Father? Is he our great teacher? Is he our power? What does this Isaiah say that he's our God? It's
Yeah.
our I forget the word but the point is this: if Jesus is a God, then why can't we pray to him? So you can't cherry pick and say Jesus is the Prince of Peace, but he's not the mighty God. No, he's the mighty God. And he's a Prince of Peace. So if he's a mighty God, or John 1:1, even with the Jehovah's Witness Bible, if Jesus is a God, then what's the problem with praying to Jesus? Now here's the point: is that I'm saying this, in response, but like really, you have to make an argument about that, like go ahead.
Gilbert,
Like
let me
really?
try to explain it this way.
So I'm just saying, if somebody wants to pray to Jesus or the Father, it doesn't bother me one way or the other.
It doesn't bother me either.
Yeah,
Elvis Presley sang a song and he says, "And I walk with him, and I
yeah,
talk to him, and he tells me I am his own.
hmm
I walk in the garden when the dew are on the roses."
yeah,
And so that's what we do. Everybody does it different. But
hmm
dead men tell no tales.
hmm
A lot of our brothers and sisters have long since quit on Jesus Christ, and dead men tells no tales.
hmm
It's too late when we die. It's too late to
hmm
fall to this illusion and to say, "Why did you trick me? Why did you lie to me?" We're all going to meet our maker when we die. And all the lessons of history tell us that when we quit on Jesus Christ as Christians, as Western civilization, it doesn't go too good. It doesn't bode well for us.
hmm
So I will take my chances with Jesus Christ instead of being an atheist or being an agnostic or being a secularist,
hmm
but with modesty, because I know because there's also a spirit of sanctimony that a lot of people are against. Because a Christian could be sanctimonious. "Oh Lord," and Jesus addressed it. "Thank you, because I'm not like these sinners." And
hmm
Jesus talked about a modesty in the worship. So it's a fine line we have to. But the same thing goes with the Americans. Quitting on your country and then trying to live in your country is a very dangerous road, also. It's not a road that leads to success. You don't build a great country by knocking on the people who are trying to save the Social Security, people who
hmm
are trying to save the Medicaid. The choice that Hakeem Jeffrey is doing reminds me a lot of the Jehovah's Witness. People who are trying to correct for the record things are attacked
hmm
by the
Yeah,
Jehovah's Witness and by the Democrats.
yeah. So you're a Jehovah's Witness, and you try to correct the child molestation issue, bring it to light. You get this fellowship with all that other stuff. You are Elon Musk, and you say, "Hey, listen, I just have a data sheet. Look at this sheet that printed out. All of these dead people are receiving checks. And these people here, they haven't been born yet, and they're receiving checks." And then the Democrats treat Elon Musk like a disfellowship Jehovah's Witness?
Hey, Gilbert, and also, this is
Mhm,
the beautiful thing about being an American and
mhm,
being a Christian, being a human, and living an old age. Bring up Chad's last comment.
Yeah, I like that.
He
But it's okay.
doesn't realize, you know what? He's never heard country music. Maybe he's not an American. Maybe he's from Istanbul. Maybe he's from Britain.
I'll leave
But
him alone.
there's this girl in the
Maybe he's
60s.
from Germany.
There was a beautiful woman,
Uh-huh.
and she sang a song in the 70s that we used to walk to school listening to in our transistor radio. And she says, "I beg your pardon. I didn't promise you a rose garden. Jesus didn't promise you that Christians were going to agree on anything.
It's actually good that they don't.
It's good that we don't agree on anything. Welcome to the human race. Welcome to America. Welcome to Christianity." Jesus says, "Pick up your cross and follow me." Jesus didn't say, "Come to nirvana." Jesus
Mm-mm.
said, "At the end of that man's life, tomorrow you will be with me in paradise." At the end of the journey. But where is this people? They want to be in paradise. They want to be in agreement. Don't you know that we're in hell?
And Jesse, haven't I been for Chad? Haven't I been preaching this for the longest time? If everyone is thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking. Yeah, there's a reason why he was a general and we're not. The dude was smart. He knew you have, and you know what? Who thinks this way too is Elon Musk. He wants to hear the opposing views.
And check it out. Who's that guy who has the prosperity ministry? The real rich guy. He looks like a woman. Like he looks like Gavin Newsom of the Christianity.
Who's that?
That guy, Joel Osteen.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to agree with Joel Osteen? So
Yeah.
isn't it good that Christians, we fight things out?
Yeah, no. Now check this out. So we can play the whole clip. It's 2:46 minutes, but maybe not. But he uses the word peace and security. I don't know if I fast forward it, but I'm going to play from the middle on.
On Saturday, for the first time in a long time, there'll be direct talks between Ambassador Woodcock and a top-level leader in Iran. We hope that'll lead to peace. You've been very clear what Iran is never going to have is a nuclear weapon, and I think that's what led to this meeting, and we'll wait for him to come back from it, and we're hopeful about that. I would also say that we are receiving, and I think the Department of Homeland Security can confirm this, historic cooperation from countries all over the world. Number one, in taking back their citizens. Every country in the world has to take back people that are illegally in another country. And we have countries that refuse to do it or will kind of ignore our calls. All of them are doing it. The ones that are not are paying a price. And we've also found cooperation in other countries that are willing to take some of these people, some very dangerous criminals. I know the president of El Salvador will be here next week, has really been a good friend of the United States in that regard. These are some of the worst people you'll ever encounter. And Pam knows this, and Christy knows this from the work they're doing. And one last point I want to make, Mr. President, again, it's under your leadership, it's actually under your executive order. If you come to this country as a student, we expect you to go to class and study and get a degree. If you come here to vandalize a library, take over a campus and do all kinds of crazy things, we're going to get rid of these people. And we're going to continue to do it. So when we identify lunatics like these, we take away their student visa. No one's entitled to a student visa. The press covers student visas like there's some sort of birthright. No, a student visa is like me inviting you into my home. If you come into my home and put all kinds of crap on my couch, I'm going to kick you out of my house. And so, that's what we're doing with our country, thanks to the president. And last but not least, very important development this week, but both Pam and I are very excited. The finest higher education institution in the United States, University of Florida, is also now the national champions in basketball, and we hope you'll put all kinds of crap.
So he threw that in. But the point, he did mention other pieces of security, but that might get some people going. But he talked about how some people think that they're entitled, the entitlement. And you know how, like in my voting ballot, I say, accept your birthright. God is your father, your son. We all have birthrights, but some people think that they're entitled to a lot more through a birthright. And he's trying to, like what you were talking about, helping people into reality. Like, hey, go ahead.
I have a different dimension. I have a different take on that. I have a different take than Marco Rubio. Now, I love the position that Marco Rubio is putting, but I wish that you could just understand this one point. Mm-hmm. I always believed, like Alex Jones, he always talks about the globalist struggle against the nationalists and the globalists. Mm-hmm. And Rush Limbaugh, for example, we're older. We're from that generation, or maybe Barry Goldwater, Ronald Reagan. We're from that generation. Mm-hmm. We've always thought it was a left and right struggle. And so I can't help it to always think left and right struggle. Mm-hmm. And one of the things, all the lessons of history teach me, that the left uses this thing called useful idiots. I think a student comes from out of the country with good intent. I really do. Mm-hmm. But the popular culture promotes communism, homosexuality, LGBT, every form of vice, like on the Star Wars scene. You'll find every form of vice here in this. Remember the Star Wars bar scene? So you go to a college and university, you find every form of vice and decay. And so you get a student who comes here from out of the country with good intentions, and he lands unchaperoned, unprotected in the seat of a liberal college. What the hell do you think is going to happen to him? He's going to become a useful idiot. He's going to become indoctrinated in leftist politics, and the leftists are going to use these students. That's what a useful idiot is. Do you think the Jehovah's Witness governing body has a cart out in the... No, they use your mama and your daddy. They're called useful idiots, Jehovah's Witnesses. Do you think Stephen Lett is going to be in a cart? Do you think the circuit overseer is going to be in a cart? They have useful idiots. They have Jehovah's Witness publishers that are going to go out there in the carts. They're useful idiots. The same thing happens with these college kids. They come over here with the greatest of intention. They really do want to better themselves. But they go to a liberal college, which is a melting pot of everything that is communist, leftist. And they get indoctrinated and they get used. So I wish Marco Rubio could hear that message. And we could start spreading it to the kids. Hey, and I think Marco Rubio does that. Come to America. Come to America. But don't go trashing the cafeteria. Do you think when our mom and dad came to America, they were trashing any cafeteria? They were working their ass off. They actually give immigrants a bad name. This could be being done on purpose to make immigrants look bad.
That's a good point. But still, the point is that we have an entitled culture.
Well, no, we have an entitled Democrat Party.
Yeah.
And they use that entitlement as a tool. And they teach it to the young kids, young brains full of mush. And then they send them out as soldiers. Digital soldiers, protest soldiers, university soldiers. They tattoo their nose. They paint their hair blue. They're all in their uniform garb. They're useful idiots of the Communist Party.
Okay. So I'm going to hit stop sharing. And this clip is only 23 seconds. And it's going to... So just...
And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that, but I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not. But just, and we're very powerful.
I mean, that's some pretty scary stuff, Jesse. He's saying that they have stuff that Putin and Xi can't even think of. And then one of the comments was, remember that airplane in the Philippines that just disappears? Yeah. So we'll leave that to Jimmy Bell and what's her name?
Yeah, because Jimmy's more knowledgeable on that. I really am not. I understand what Trump says, and it could go either way. I don't have no knowledge on it.
Yeah, that's some scary stuff. And did you wanted to say anything else? Because I was going to show you one last clip.
No. That's good.
So this is on a lighter note. I have another channel. You know my other channel, Jesse, the one that I have all my Mills brothers.
Yeah.
So see what you think. I don't have to play the whole song, but it's 2 minutes and 29. And I put Elon Musk versus the Mills brothers. Are you ready? And this is from...
There is no life on the moon. There's no life up on Mars. So let's take care of this lovely world of ours. Let's make the waters clean again and the winds fresh when they blow. 'Cause if we wreck this world of ours, there's nowhere else to go. Look over there, see those fishes in the stream, hardly moving like they're swimming in a dream. Hey, wait a minute, they're not swimming, they're floating on the top. Before all fishes go, let's call it a stop. 'Cause there's no life on the moon, there's no life up on Mars. So let's take care of this lovely...
So you can tell that's a 1960s song, and that's on my other channel. There's another picture of him on Mars. So Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. And the Mills brothers are like, no, 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 no. We can't even clean up our rivers. And he talks about the birds and the bees, dying. And yet they want to go live in the moon and live in Mars. So do you agree with Elon Musk, or are you sticking with the Mills brothers on this one?
What if I tell you both?
Okay, go ahead. I'm ready.
The sentiment of the Mills brothers is correct, and the rationale and the argument can be put forward. You got to remember, I grew up watching Bobby Kennedy versus Ronald Reagan debates. So that's what I love that. You got to remember, my mom raised me in the Kingdom Hall, my dad at the bar, you and I. So we got to see both. It's good to see both sides of the argument. But I think that we have to have people like Elon Musk who are pushing the envelope of technology and space and engineering and flight. There has to be men like him.
Correct.
Tiger. There's got to be.
Waters clean again, and the winds fresh when they blow.
Yeah.
Cause if we wreck this world of ours, there's nowhere else to go.
I bought that LP, and
Gilbert, remember I told you, and I'm going to get a little philosophical on you, but remember I told you that Jesus is God, and this has been the greatest argument of our lifetime. It is the one basis for our conversations since we were born. What do we do with Jesus Christ? You happen to believe that Jesus is the Son of God. I happen to believe Jesus is God, and we debate and we talk back and forth. Not that we disagree or agree, but we don't understand. We don't know. We're like in the Matthew 24, when it talks about the Beatitudes, and blessed are the confused. And what is the word you use? The confused, right? As you say?
Yeah. Oh yeah, blessed are the confused.
Yeah, in some translations it has that. We don't understand.
No. Go ahead.
But we do know this, that all the lessons of history teach us that if you quit going forward, if you quit the technology, you could fall into mental decay. So I think that Elon Musk, as a human being, is good. And I'm not saying Elon Musk personally. I think the European Space Agency, I believe the Chinese Space Agency, I believe that God wanted us to. He says, let us make man in our image. I believe he made us as sentient, intelligent beings. And we always want to push forward. I don't see anything wrong. I don't see anything wrong as pushing forward. God made us different than the animals. You don't see the dogs and the cats and the hyenas and the apes and the orangutans building spaceships. We do. Why? Because God put something in our heart that we want to look forward. And one of the things that we find out is that many men and women who push to the stars actually become believers in God, the Creator. Because you see the beauty of the wonderment of the laws of physics and time and space, and the almost impossibility to go to the moon, to the stars. And so you respect the laws of God more. So that's what I wanted to say. As a creator, I think as a created being, as a Christian, I think the Mills brothers are correct to answer your question. And I think Elon Musk is correct. Does that sound like a wimpy cop out?
No, because what happened here is so the Bible scholar, who doesn't happen to be an ex-Jehovah's Witness, but he's a Bible scholar, he says when Jesus gave his sermon, the words out of his mouth were, blessed are poor in spirit. But there are a number of ways to translate poor in spirit, like lost in translation. Like when you hear a beautiful song in a different language, but you really can't translate it to English. On an intellectual level, the best translation is confused. Blessed are the confused. If you ask why Jesus might have said that, then I must point out to you that confusion leads to a search for clarification. And with that search comes a great deal of learning. For an old idea to die and a new and better idea to take place, like going to the moon or Mars, we have to go through periods of confusion. It is uncomfortable, sometimes painful to be in such periods. Nonetheless, it is blessed because when we are in them, we are open to the new. We are looking, we are growing. And so it is that Jesus says, blessed are the confused. Virtually all of the evil in the world is committed by people who are absolutely certain they know what they're doing. It is not committed by people who think of themselves as confused. It is not committed by the poor in spirit. Those are powerful words, huh?
All of the evil in the world is committed by the people who are absolutely certain that they know what they're doing. It is not committed by the people who think of themselves as confused. It is not committed by the poor in spirit. Yeah. Yeah. But in there's a verb. When Jesus says, blessed are the, because it says, blessed are the confused. If you ask Jesus why, it must have been a confusion leads to a search for clarification. So there's a verb, there's action, a search. And that's what I'm talking about. So when you see Elon Musk, that I guess if you had to, the lowest common denominator is not frugality or it's not spending, but it is a search. We're searching. It's just like we started off the show asking about our when we were babies. Mommy, why are there so many pretty clouds? How come, we're living in the 70s and we don't have straight lines like we're going to have in the 2000s? And mom would say, cállate, cabrón, and slap us in the head. So I think when it says the search in your quote, it's a verb. And I think us humans have it. I think it's good. Everybody does that. And going back to Chad's comment, and with all respect, it was a beautiful comment. But we don't want to agree on everything. That's why we tell everybody, hey, you can't be in our church. Even when your girlfriend, you say you have a girlfriend, when she comes to our church, that'll break up our church like Yoko.
Oh yeah, I told her, man.
Yeah.
I go, this is the Jehovah locker room,
Yeah.
The ex Jehovah's Witness locker, and spa. Yeah. So yeah. Girls need to have their space and guys need to have their space. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
But and also because women and men travel in different directions, and women are going to talk about feelings and this and that, and that's fine. And men want to talk about things on a different level. It's just going two different directions. So for show purposes, sometimes it's best just to keep it with.
And here's the thing: one thing a lot of women don't understand is that we're right and they're wrong. I know that, like, if I were to enter the women's room, they would say, "Hey, get out," because they're right, because that's their world. But when us men gather and God allows us to come together as men, we're right and they're wrong. Now, there's some guys that are wrong. Those are called betas, and they have to go. They have to go. And there's some other guys, they call them libertarians or sigmas. They don't belong. But when us men meet together, we're right and you're wrong. And women have to respect that. Yeah.
Also,
when we enter into their world, okay, we'll be wrong. But right here in our church, we're right and you're wrong. Yeah.
And our church, it is a spa as well. It's a locker room and spa. And we do nails here. Do you still have your nail clippers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we in our Jehovah's Spa, we have nail clippers. And we do not paint our nails. Okay.
Because I like to buff it a little bit first.
You like to buff it? Yeah.
And then
see, there you go, guys. In the extra Jehovah's Witness, locker room and spa, we polish nails. We don't paint them, but we polish them with Makita. Is that an 18 or 24?
No, Milwaukee.
Oh, it's a Milwaukee.
Yeah,
that's what I meant to say. I don't know why I said Makita, but yeah, because of the red. But okay. I think
that's it. Yeah.
I had another one, but it had to do with gold and silver with Alex Jones, but I don't know if I want to bring it up. Should we or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Well. Okay. So let me just share this screen and remove share screen. And check this out. So gold explodes to 3,260 per ounce as the market correction predicted by Warren Buffett over a year ago begins. Okay, first of all, if gold exploded at 3,260, that's only a 7.9% increase in the last 3 months. But you could say more at the beginning of the year of 2024. Because 2024, I think it was like at 2,200. So, but the point is, it says gold explodes. And here's a classic example of fear mongering. Yes, it makes sense. But Peter Schiff, who sells gold and who is in this market, he's also a hedge fund manager, and his hedge fund is outperforming gold. So all I'm saying is everywhere you go, whether it's the left or the right or anything like that, there's a lot of fear mongering going on. And there's nothing wrong with what this guy is saying. I like him. He's a nice guy. But everywhere
Wait, Gilbert.
Go ahead. And here we go.
Go back
Okay.
to the gold. Because there's one word that says everything about the fear monger, everything you said. It could all be wrapped up truthfully in that one word right there, correction.
Correction.
And everybody's been talking about there has to be a correction on the gold market and the silver market. There has to be a correction.
Well, it has to, because if you look at that picture, let me see if I can bring it in. You see that picture right there?
Mm-hmm.
That is a $20 gold coin. So in the first 100 years, when the founding fathers played with paper money and it exploded, they said, no, we're just going to have coins, gold coins and silver. And the banks could have certificates, whatever. But here's the point. That was a $20 gold coin. And if you had 20 silver dollars, you take 20 silver dollars, and then the bank would give you, or your neighbor would give you, one gold coin. So for 100 years, the United States had 20 silver coins to one gold coin, 20 to 1, 20 to 1, 20 to 1. And guess what? Guess how much inflation existed in the first 100 years? Zero. It doesn't exist because you cannot inflate what God created. That's why Robert Kiyosaki calls it God's money. So we as imperfect humans inflate. God made what we call standards. It's just standards that we all that regardless what part of the world we live in, we agree. Now, here's the point I'm trying to make about fear mongering, exclusive analysis. And this is, God bless Alex Jones. I'm not trying to knock him. But respected economic forecaster Edward Dowd predicts a Reagan-era boom after Trump's tariffs and other policies take full effect. Okay, yeah, but guess what? Going back to what you said, that guy, Edward Dowd, doesn't have the track record of Peter Schiff, who also comes on to talk to Alex Jones. So not only does Peter Schiff totally disagree with Donald Trump, totally disagrees with what these guys are saying, but yet is still a gold bug. All I'm trying to say is everywhere you go, people are trying to scare you into believing what they are believing. And I'm just saying, don't fall for the scare. How is it that Alex Jones and Edward Dowd, they're entitled to their opinion, but a guy who's on their team, who's an expert as well and has a proven current track record, while the Dow is losing money in the last year, but Peter Schiff's Euro Pacific Fund is performing at 14%, and he's a gold bug, is totally disrespecting Donald Trump on the tariff issue. All I'm saying is there's a lot of fear going on, and that's all I'm saying. That everyone is trying to scare you, and the moral of the story is this. They say bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. And you know this, Jesse. When the economy's good, you make money. When the economy's bad, your business can also make money. It's a pig that gets slaughtered. When you become afraid, you get slaughtered. And all I'm saying is don't fall for the fear. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Gilbert, the 80s are back. It's Jimmy Carter all over again.
Yeah.
Remember when we were kids? He sucked,
Yes.
and everybody knew it. Jimmy Carter still sucks. Now he's dead. The 80s are back. You got the looks. I've got the brains. Let's make lots of money.
Go ahead, turn that off. Turn that off for a second.
Wait.
No, don't turn it off. Turn it off. Hold on. Because is that misogynistic? I got the brains, you got the looks. Let's make lots of money.
No, because in the song he flips it around too. Later on, he says it's the other way.
So that's the whole point I'm trying to make, Jesse. Is that whether you're on the Republican or Democrat side or this or that, just be careful because a lot of people are trying to scare you. And that's all I was saying about the gold thing and the Alex Jones. And I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying everyone's in a fear mode.
Gilbert, when we were kids, remember Dad would get unemployed in the 70s and we would all go work. We'd go pick lemons or we'd go clean the mall, different jobs. Mm-hmm. Dad's regular job, welding, would run away. Mm-hmm. Remember when Ronald Reagan became president, the country changed. Everything changed. Mm-hmm. It's good to bring back the factories. It's good. There's going to be an economic revival, almost an economic renaissance in the United States. We don't even make transformers for electrical here. We don't make anything. Across the street, you always said here in our hometown in Yuma, they used to make the Wrangler pants. They went away too. Every town has been decimated. Even if they build one factory, that's better than what we have now.
Okay. And see, and so that's the part of the tariffs, and that's a good argument. The other argument, and Artsy, I agree with, Edward Dowd. I love him too, all of them. There's another guy. So check this out. So a lot of people, very smart people, are saying, well, they're going to bring their money back into the United States, and that's going to cause inflation because Donald Trump is saying, because Donald Trump is playing chicken with 200 and 100 and some plus countries. Nobody goes to a boxing ring and fights 100 people.
Hold on. What have I been telling you the last 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, no. What did I tell you about all the other countries?
Yeah.
They don't matter.
No. But wait. You're right. No. He's fighting. He's literally going up against over 100 countries.
Yes, because you got to have that chip on your shoulder.
Yes.
When you're the best, do you think Muhammad Ali, when he was going to win the ring, when he was going to win the belt, he says, "Well, I think Joe Frazier is a better boxer than I am." No.
But you're missing the whole point. What I'm trying to say is this: a lot of people are saying, yes, you're right about bringing the factories back by the tariffs. Okay, that's one side of the argument. The other side of the argument is, guess what? Well, all of that money in treasury bills and everything, they're going to bring it back. Well, I watched the video today, and the guy's like, okay, all that stuff makes sense. If all of these people start bringing back the money to the United States, we have all of this extra money, inflation goes up. That's true. But he goes, you have to, because we just because they have our money doesn't mean we're going to buy it. So check this out. So let's say China has $100 billion of U.S. treasuries. We don't have to give them the money back for another 30 years or 10 years, whatever it is. Just because they want to sell it doesn't mean that we're going to buy it back. See, what I'm trying to say is that everyone is trying to scare you, but there's always the other side of the coin. And the point I'm trying to make is, you don't think that Donald Trump has thought about this?
Yes.
And hold on. And my last point is this: a lot of people think that he's stupid because, like, no, dude, wait, he's a lot more smarter and more successful than you. He understands trade way better than you, because when he built that skyscraper, he didn't go to Home Depot to buy the steel. He didn't go to Best Buy to buy the televisions. He had to go to other countries and do trade. The guy knows what he's doing. Now, is it going to work? I'm not saying yes or no, but a lot of people are quick to criticize. And you're like, dude, Donald Trump has the receipts. Whether he's right or wrong, that's debatable, but don't tell me he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
And here's the thing. You're talking about money, but I'm talking about money. See, It's not too, there's spiritual men and there's physical men. China is talking about money, but we're not talking about money. We're talking about money. We're talking about build transformers here. Make it a habit to work with your hands and mind your own business. Maybe if we didn't build the damn factories in China, we'd have more money. Look, here's the thing. Because in the America the Beautiful, Ray Charles sings about, may God thy gold refine. A lot of people, wait, hold on. A lot of people think that the gold is what you're talking about, or money, or the fiat currency. That's not what I'm talking about. By having the product built here with your own hands, that is with the God's money that you're talking about. A man was supposed to produce and have the fruit of his labor. That's gone because we've turned into a service economy.
Correct. But this is where I add to the problem with China is, like, for example, in our money, we put in God we trust. So Jesus says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Is this stainless steel 18.8 or 316? I don't know, because if it comes from China, it could be whatever the hell they want it to be. But in the United States of America, this is 18. This is either, if it says 18.8 and it's 316, which is food grade stainless steel, you could take it to the bank. And so in your business, you deal with copper motors. The Chinese copper motors are copper plated. And they're not built to technical specs, which we call standards. So the thing in the United States of America, because we in the money put God we trust, we believe in America that if you sell copper, you sell copper. But in China, they're like, no, it looks like copper, but it's really nickel and copper plated. And so one of the problems Donald Trump is having with the tariffs too, and with and he's talked about it with the factories, is that China reverse engineers. This has been happening in the 80s. My dad would tell the owner of the company, "Hey, China's buying all of your products, and they're going to reverse engineer it." And sure enough, like about 4 years later, the stuff that my dad used to manufacture was being sold in LA as a knockoff by the Chinese. So they would buy the stuff that my dad would manufacture, and then they would knock it off, and it was always with inferior grade metals. So that's the difference. And when Donald Trump is also talking about tariffs and punishing companies, is because when you build a skyscraper, that metal has to be the exact type of steel, tensile strength, so the building doesn't fall down. All you have to do is go to YouTube and type in buildings falling down in China because of what Jesse's going to show you.
Yeah, you see, I've been doing this for 40 years. I know it. When you hear somebody go, I've been doing this, I know it doesn't mean nothing to nobody. But what you do is you have a historical record, an eyewitness account of what you witnessed. I remember 40 years ago, every motor, this is an electrical motor from an air conditioning blower motor. And this one is from 2008, the year my mom died, and today's her birthday. And before that, I remember seeing everything starting being made in China, and I used to say, I wonder when the American products, because all our American products were always built in the United States, all the air conditioning in my industry. And something happened in 2007, 2008. We would get Chinese motors come into the market. And here's the thing, you got to remember, a Chinese communist is still a Chinese communist. I'm going to show you something. And this is a product of globalism. It has to do with culture. It has to do with God. It has to do with ethics, whatever you want to call it. But look, you think that's copper, right? This motor failed in about 5 minutes. I was getting off the roof, and then I heard the motor shut down. I go, what the heck? So I went, and the motor was burning up, dying. Super hot. Look at this. I chopped it up because we were having motor failures all the time. So I chopped it up in my saw. It's not real copper. It's copper clad. I think it's welding MIG wire. I think it's MIG wire or some kind of clad wire. But this is a Chinese motor from 2008. I started telling everybody, but nobody would listen to me. I said this about 8 years before Donald Trump came down the elevator. They're not sending us the best stuff because when you're a worker, when you buy a motor, you're a distributor. You just buy a motor and you put it out and you sell it. But when you're an AC tech, you got to crawl on the roof when it's 150 degrees. And when you have no energy left in your legs, you still got to get your ass up there and change it.
Jesse, some stupid person is going to challenge you and say 150 degrees. Remember outside in my house with the train air conditioner, and you had your gun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we were at the Curtis's.
Was it?
It was at the Curtis's house. Yeah. And it was a white stucco, and it was on the concrete, and they had a train unit. You had a train unit too. And me and you were dancing. We were jumping. And then you said, Jesse, why are we jumping? And I put my digital laser meter on the concrete. It was 150 degrees. That's how hot it is. And that's what we do every day. But so you can't have things not made in the United States. That's what we're talking about. Now, what kind of person, Gilbert, does that?
A person who doesn't believe in God, that doesn't trust in God. Now, you may say, well, Gilbert, yeah, you're right in your argument. But the American people do love God, and Jesus is truth. And we believe in truth. And we believe that if you sell something that's supposed to be made with 100% copper, that it's 100% copper. And you don't think Eric Trump knows what you're talking about? Of course he does. All of those guys know. And so they're sick and tired of it. It's they've heard all of your horror stories and everybody else's. And so is Peter Schiff right when he disagrees with Trump? Yes, everyone is right. They have a point. All I'm saying is we elected a guy, he's going to steer the ship, and we can jump on the bandwagon and says, hey, we're going to work with you. But one thing we know that the guy that was driving the last time, yeah, it wasn't good. Anything else, Jesse?
No, it's almost time to shut it down, but
Yeah, me too.
But I just wanted to leave you with one thought.
What's that?
I thought we should leave with the Pet Shop Boys. So you think that he's got the looks, or does he have the brains?
He starts by saying, I got the brains, you got the looks. Let's make lots of money.
I got the brains. I think he's right. I think he's right because I remember the 80s. Men were smarter than women in the 80s. We had Ronald Reagan. We were just kicking butt. We had a bunch of good stuff going on in the 80s. Thomas Sowell. And the women were pretty. So the women had the looks and the men had the brains.
But something happened.
Something happened.
It was all those chemtrails.
Damn chemtrails, yeah.
It was those chemtrails.
Let's make lots of money. Okay, one philosophical question. Let's say a month ago you would have bought $10,000 worth of coins and they were at $2,800. And today they're at $3,250. So that's roughly about $450 you could have made. Did you make $450 or has our dollar deflated?
Our dollar has deflated. But you have beaten inflation. You have beaten an inflation. Now, do you know what the key is now? So remember I told you about the 20-1? It's also supposed to be 20-1.
Yeah.
Right now, gold is at $3,200.
Okay, stop. So silver should be roughly about $60, $70?
No. 10% is what, 300. It should be 640. But here's the thing. So remember, you get 20 silver coins to $1 gold dollar. I mean, you get 20 silver coins, $1 coins to one $20 gold coin. So the problem is right now, 3,200. 1% of that is $32. Silver's trading at 100 to 1. So the smart money, and I've been thinking about this, where you get your gold and some of it, and you buy silver. You say, give me 100 ounces of silver, and then I'll give you 1 ounce of gold. And then when it starts getting back to where it's supposed to go, let's say it goes to 40 to 1 or 50 to 1, 60 to 1, you then switch again. So now you have 2 ounces of gold, and you doubled because what the rich people do is they don't care about the price. They care about the ounce. See, rich people don't care what the price of gold is. They just want to know how many ounces they have. They want to increase the ounce. And that's one way of doing it. And the reason they do that is because then, like Robert Kiyosaki, what does he do? He has his gold over here and then he borrows cash. So he becomes his own bank. That's what Robert Kiyosaki teaches, is that, but anyways, but this is the situation we're in right now. 100 ounces of silver would get you 5 ounces of 5 gold coins back in the day. Right now, right now is a good time to do that conversion.
It's time to end the show. But
I'm sorry, I confused you more than helped you. But go ahead.
Let's go over our recommendation for the memorial.
Oh yeah.
We don't recommend you go.
No.
And we are noticing a lot of apostates share our view on this.
Yeah,
and it's like the vaccine shedding, the jabby yabby shedding. The stupidity of the witnesses is so great it might shed on you. But if you must go, go as a reporter. Try to document everything. Take your pad, take your phone, write down everything, document, and then come on the GG for GB channel. We can interview you.
Exactly. That's a good point, Jesse. I'm glad you thought of that because I wouldn't want to go. But
No, I wouldn't want to go. And listen, if you eat, I think that, or drink, remember how we used to do it in the apostate in the old days?
Mhm.
I really think that you could get, I think that's food that's sacrificed to idols. I wouldn't eat for, I think your spiritual well being, it's dangerous there. Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses are sick. Yeah, spiritually, mentally, financially, everything.
So you heard it here that if it's just our opinion, we're not saying this is biblical. We're not Bible scholars, but if you eat the bread and the wine at a Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses or one of their rituals, that's like
It
eating
could
food.
affect you.
Yeah, it could affect you in a bad way.
You get spiritual diarrhea or salmonella.
Yeah, I think you'll get diarrhea. You'll get the craps with the watchtower. Yeah,
You might even get herpes.
yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get at the Kingdom Hall.
Exactly. And then, with COVID, they're double dipping. They're not using gloves. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
they might get diphtheria. Get
Okay.
it?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. Gilbert, any questions on the Chad? Look at Chad. Chad's been off all night.
When is it? It's Saturday.
He's been off. Is he from Greenland? I mean,
well, he had one grand slam with that thing about his sister in 1958.
That was great. That was, well, we got to forgive him for everything. That was the best comment of the night. So,
oh God,
you know what? He's like that poem. I like that story. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. So, yeah.
Hey, just say I had to go, man. My girlfriend's making a sandwich.
Okay, so, real good. I had my wife. She made me menudo. Okay.
I told her about menudo. Nothing is better than menudo
that's
on a Saturday morning.
In the Mexican culture, that's the difference between a wife and a girlfriend. A wife makes you menudo. You get her up around 3:30 in the morning, slaughter that, clean it up, make menudo, get the hominy rinsed out.
Yeah. The problem is,
if you have a girlfriend, they make you a sandwich.
I know, but she's going to mail it to me because she's not here.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's the go. Yeah.
All right.
It'll probably be moldy by the time I get it. Yeah. All right.
All right, Gilbert.
All right. See you later, man. All right, guys. Hey, we're just joking around there. So don't take it seriously. No me gusta menudo. Me encanta pozole. Pozole is good. I do like menudo, but like once every 2 months, once every 3 months. But no, I mean, when you find out what you're eating, a lot of people don't know what menudo is, and it's better you don't know what it is. Pozole, pork. If you could use beef for pozole, I think it would be better. Great show tonight, and thanks. Tripas, no. Tripe, I know, but I do have tripe. Like whenever I go to Mexico, if there's a good vendor, but yeah, just try to limit it to one taco. Yeah, try it. It is delicious, but yeah, yeah. It can't be healthy for you, man. I bought some silver yesterday, and that's good. And so just look, you can type it up on Google, on YouTube, 100-to-1. It's supposed to be 20-to-1 because you got one silver coin is $1, one gold coin is $20. Right now, it's at 100-to-1. It's like a penny. No, 10. It's like 10 cents. So the opportunity is to make money by buying silver because when it catches up, it'll catch up at a faster rate than gold will. And at 20-to-1, you're looking at $600 silver. And since the beginning of time, silver, for the majority of the part, has always traded at 10 to 20% of the value of gold. So that's what but the point I would try to make with those InfoWars clips that I was showing you is that everyone is trying to scare you. So whether you're right-wing Republican or left, whatever, the fear-mongering goes in. And so here you have 2-3 people from the same team but they're not all thinking alike. And that's when that picture of Patton. If everyone is thinking alike, no one is thinking. So Edward Dowd and Alex Jones are over here saying one thing, and Peter Schiff, they're on the same team, is saying you guys are completely wrong, and a few more others have other opinions. So don't pick a side. Just listen. Listen to what everyone is saying, and then make your own decisions. But it's when you get into the fear and you let people scare you, you're going to make bad decisions. Like, for example, having tripa tacos. Bad, bad decisions. Yuck on tripas. Delicious as hell, but it can't be good for you. Tampoco hígado encebollados. That would be onions and liver. The dealer said it should be at 14 to 1. Well, what is 10 and 20? The middle is 15. So that's, he's speaking, yeah, in a perfect world. But for the first 100 years of our country, Shaq, look, we have a silver coin and it says $1. We have a gold coin that says 20. So the founding fathers set it at 20 to 1. And it worked perfectly. So George Washington bought a saddle for his horse with a $20 gold coin. Today, if you go into Google and type in, saddle for a horse, it's $3,200 or $20 gold coin. So gold has been, so for the first 100 years, there's been no inflation. That's the point. Because Robert Kiyosaki says gold and silver is God's money. God tells the truth. Jesus is the truth. We're the ones that are liars, and we print paper. That was the whole point. And so I think silver is a smart thing. It is. I do hear all sides. Yes. Keep stacking. Absolutely. And if you don't want to stack, females shouldn't stack. Just stack with silver, like, jewelry. If you don't want to, who wants a coin that you put it away in a vault, right? Somewhere in the middle of who knows where. Stack jewelry. There you go. So UK love tripe and onions, liver and onions. Liver is very good for you. That's right. We're going to end it there, guys. Thank you for joining. And thank you, Juan Kennedy, and we'll see you tomorrow on Eric's show. We're going to shake and bake on Eric. And we can't do the love guru over there because it's too much for Rick. Rick Farron starts sweating when we do the love guru. So if we do love guru, we'll do it here. All right. Bye, everybody. And we'll see you guys on the next one.